Okay, you're live.
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Today is May 7, 2020. This is the Police Pension Board Trustees meeting. We're at the council chambers. It is 9 o'clock, right on the dot. And I'll begin with the roll call. I am here. I am the chair. Co-chair Roberson. Here. Member Deidre Thomas.
Here.
Member Dan Kopak.
Here.
And I observe that Member Buzz 80 is absent from the proceedings. You all have in front of you moving on to the approval minutes, the December 5th Pension Board 2019 minutes are in front of you. Has everybody had a chance to review those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Dan, second by Tom Roberson. Is there any further discussion regarding the minutes from December 5, 2019? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Seeing none, motion carries to approve the minutes. Old business, we have several items in the old business. Bless you. The first, under the old business, is the discussion of mutual consent agreement, extra benefit reserve monies that we've discussed. We previously have approved the city to revise and review the actual ordinance, which is in this attachment packet that's in your agenda packet. So attached you have the pension fund's excess vote member. Those are the members of the pension that voted to approve said ordinance. You have the breakdown of the initial allocations of those reserve funds that have built up over the past few years. And you have the ordinance that plans to be presented to council for consideration that's been reviewed by the city and the city attorney and our pension board. The city is seeking our approval in this forum for those for that ordinance to be presented to the city council. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to do so. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Roberson, second by Dan Kopak. Is there any further discussion regarding this topic? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries to present that to city council for final approval. Next on the agenda is the discussion of previous members' non-claim monies after separation. This is just a matter of circumstance that we've discussed, and it's just for our information. We can do nothing else with these monies other than disperse them to the members. I have contacted the second and the fourth one on this list that's in your attachment, and they are aware that it exists, and they have been presented with the paperwork to obtain their funds. The first one on the list is, I have not been able to contact that individual. And then the third one on the list, I did actually contact him through Facebook Messenger. Actually, he contacted me, and he has the paperwork in order to get those funds. So they are aware their funds exist, other than number one.
I mean, the two people that live Gulf Precinct's called.
It seems that it's a, from the fourth member that's listed there, that it is a circumstance of an abundance of paperwork. So,
The
yeah.
first one actually is local too. Prior to knowing that he was on this list, I've actually seen him twice and seen him separated from city employment. And I didn't know the time to tell him, but he is actually local too.
Yeah. Autumn Lane or something.
We, I can get that information, I can try to contact him, or if we get that information to Stephanie here at City Hall, maybe she can reach out and contact you.
I presume we've sent them certified letters and.
This is ongoing for a couple of years.
Yeah, I know.
But we have dwindled the list from we would start with like 8 or 9 of them, and we've dwindled it down to 4. So we're actually batting 1,000, doing pretty good. So, yeah. Any further discussion regarding those previous monies? Moving on to the next. Our last pension board meeting, we had a discussion of a pension board member's eligibility to receive retirement funds. There is a response that I've included as an attachment to all the questions that we had during that last meeting regarding this individual's retirement benefits. I do want to pass out the summary provision plans for eligibility for retirement, just so we all don't have to thumb through our books to look at it. And basically, this is the plan as it sits in our pension fund. So this individual would have to be, because he has less than 25 years of credited service, the age of 55, which he attained 2 years ago, he is the age of 57. He just simply failed to file for his pension funds. But the letter that I questioned Stephanie Forbes with our pension plan in Tallahassee, the only reason that this would be of any circumstance would be that if something occurred in the last 2 years that would have benefited him as far as choosing which particular type of payout he would want. The example she has is that if his spouse was ill and he was holding off to see if she survived in order to pick the 50-50 or the 100% payout to the employee. So that's the only circumstance. As our plan sits that I'm reading, it does not indicate anything whatsoever about not paying retroactively. So my understanding of looking at this is he 55 years of age? And does he have at least 6 years of credited service, which he does have, which is confirmed. So it's up to this board to decide whether to retroactively pay him for the 2 years previous. And I know right now that according to a phone conversation with Stephanie Forbes, they are not paying out anything at this time until this board makes a decision on this member's eligibility and retroactive eligibility for payment. So I feel we need to make a decision so we can at least get this member's funds, whether retroactive or not, start paying. So at this point, I would feel that it would need to be retroactive at least until the date he filed, which was previous last pension. So, is there any discussion as far as anybody have any questions that's not outlined in Stephanie's?
The only issue that I have, or I agree with you that it needs to be retroactive at least when he put his application in. The only question that I have is, with that information that you just gave us, if we vote to make this retroactive to his actual retirement date, are we now setting a precedent that if we have this issue come up in the future, in this case, it doesn't appear that it's going to negatively affect the fund. Therefore, we set a precedent for allowing it to go back to retroactive to the date of retirement, in this case, we're 2 years down the road, that does negatively affect the plan. Are we setting a precedent where we're going to be required to do that at that time as well?
To answer your question, I believe we would be setting a precedent, but the way I feel about this is if he were to have filed on the dot of his time of his turning 55, that is money he would have been paid anyway.
Sure.
So I would feel that we'd be setting a precedent in a positive manner if we were to do that. That's my opinion on the matter. I think the man's earned his money. Whether he failed to file for this reason or that reason, or just simply forgot, it doesn't affect our plan negatively or positively either way.
Right.
But it's money he's earned.
Right, in this case, and
Yes.
I agree with you. My concern is just going forward, we wind up with a situation, and these are very few and far between, but we wind up with a situation where it is negative for the plan. Now we're going to be
Forbes has sent this letter to, if there's any mitigating circumstances, like what plan to pick, versus illness in the family or any other kind of extreme. I think that's outlined in this, and I think that also would be setting precedents, that if something were to negatively affect the plan, something of that sort, that it would not fall into this kind of category.
Do we know what, option he chose?
I do not.
I think that's just additional information.
I do know
I'm
there,
looking at the different choices and, you know,
I do know there's no mitigating circumstances in his personal dynamic that would affect the decision of which to choose at this time.
His particular case is not Bill Walsh, it's not one that affect us positively or negatively.
yeah, I remember that from the prior discussion that he doesn't additionally benefit, if you will, and thereby adversely impacting the plan. Yeah, there's one side of me that says, how could you forget?
Everybody has their own set of circumstances.
Yeah, I understand, and I would tend to agree that given he will be receiving what he should have been receiving, you know, I'd be in favor of it. As far as the precedent, you know darn well, we're gonna set a precedent anytime you do anything.
I believe we need to set a precedent, really, but we also need to keynote that it's due to no other mitigating circumstances that now this individual comes forward.
Yeah.
I motion that we, approve his retirement and make it retroactive to his actual retirement.
Okay, motion by Ferguson for retroactively making the retirement back to his initial eligibility date of 55 years old. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dan Kopak. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries to approve the retirement and retroactive payment to the individual based on their original, or their first eligible retirement date of 55.
But as a side note, when an officer retires, leaves service, I presume there's an exit package of some sort.
Well, this is
It's almost like
10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So he has another job that pays his bills.
present day.
Yes.
An officer retires and
So it's-
there's a package that says, okay, now do the following things.
I know there is for full-time retirees,
Yeah.
but there's only a 10-year retirement time.
Okay. When you have nothing else to do, you develop that.
Be there soon enough. Okay, moving on to the next is the fund questions. We had some fund questions about our particular fund, which I followed up with Ms. Forbes about this also. And those are outlined in this attachment G. How often do we get an update on the fund mix? And every quarter, the fund manager gets an update. I am going to be added to the update notifications, so I'll get a copy of them also. It's a 3-tier fund manager, so you have the investment committee, the ACG funding, and the asset consulting group tracking. So it's a 3-tier managing device. And then as far as our fund mix, which, and you might understand this better, it's a 60% equity in the fund mix. So they have a choice of, their plans are 50, 60, and 70, so ours is at 60%, so we're right in the median.
Somewhat of a generic vanilla.
Safe.
Yeah, well, safe's another word. Did you see March?
Yes. So that was just an informational. Are there any follow-up informational questions that y'all would like me to look into as far as this particular topic? Or is this satisfied everybody's?
Yeah, that.
It goes without saying what the fund did in March That was part of those discussions that we had over the years of not using 8% and 9% growth. Well, here's a real good example.
So that's the conclusion of the old business. Moving on to the new business, I don't see anything on the agenda. Anybody have any new business items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, moving on to the informational items. There is a chart that's been passed around. It's just simply for informational purposes. That's the most current allocations that the Florida League of Cities that could provide me for the members of those extra benefit monies that were mentioned in A of old business. And my understanding is it has to be filed under the original, so this is just a informational item for us to realize how much is in that fund that's being diversed to different members' accounts.
It's unfortunate that we can't use this to offset some of the city contribution.
But the city gets all but that, so.
Yeah. But it goes to the benefit of the officer, so
Thank you.
that's the positive side.
Moving on to the expenses, the approval of the expenses, there are some approval of expenses that are attached to a previous claim that we had a special meeting about a couple months ago. And these are to pay bills for the services that are mandated upon this member in order to approve the disability pension benefit if voted on by this board.
I'll go ahead and, make a motion that we, approve paying the first Florida Municipal Pension Trust money. I got a question or two about the second one.
Okay, is there a second to pay number one?
I'll second for number one.
Okay. Any further discussion regarding the bill number one? Seeing none, all in favor to pay number one, which is the service encouraged disability benefit calculation for $450. That's the one you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries to pay the $450. Now regarding number two, to the doctor, in the amount of $1,200,
300.
300, was $1,200 bill.
Yeah, but didn't he cut the bill by 900?
Well, it's like the city paid it up front, and which is, so the meeting, the appointment was canceled. The doctor had refunded $900 to the city, so we need to reimburse the city for $300. Now, my question on that, clearly we have to reimburse the city from that money, but my question on that is, so the appointment is, it says it is canceled as opposed to rescheduled. Does that mean if and when it gets scheduled again, or if the pension board is gonna be facing another $1,200 bill on top of just $300 that we're gonna have to refund for canceled meeting, or do we have any information on that?
I have no information.
Stephanie
Yeah,
Lucas.
yeah, I assume that we will have to, give that money back to the doctor again. The reason he kept the $300 was because it was canceled the morning of the appointment. My assumption is he had put some time into it, but, yes.
So there was no option to reschedule at that point, so what, it was the day of, and I guess it's like a no-show, fee.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Okay.
the reasoning behind refunding $900.
Right.
But we were asked to cancel it at the direction of his attorney,
Okay,
and it was not rescheduled. And I
okay,
don't know if that was, again, was at the direction of his attorney.
okay.
Why was it canceled? Was it having to do with this virus?
I'm not sure of that, I'm sorry. It just was at the
Because
direction
I
of
got
his attorney.
I got a problem with somebody charging you $300 for somebody not showing up if in fact it had to do with them shutting down the country and nobody was going anywhere.
Well, this appointment was for
27th,
February 27th,
Yeah.
so that was way before
Yeah, that was-
everything shut down.
but it says invoice for services, and this was prepaid. So when was the original appointment for?
That would have, I believe that would have been it, that would have been the
That
date
you
of
said.
service. Yeah, February 27th, must have been the day of the appointment.
Well, but the city prepaid it.
Yes, we prepaid it, because of the timing of it, and the doctor required prepayment.
Did you prepay it as a result of that invoice?
Yes, sir.
When was the actual appointment? set for?
That's my question.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Because if it was, let's presume, it was in March, well, by then, everything has been shut down. He wasn't gonna make the appointment anyway.
Yes, sir. I can find out when the appointment was scheduled for and get an email out to the board.
I move we table this.
So how much
Find
is-
out more detail.
Is it $300?
Yeah, because he sent back 900, that's that check, I think.
And it says 400 on the front, is it just a,
I think it's a 9, it looks like a 4.
not a 900?
Yeah, maybe that's what cost money.
900 to refund, so that would leave $300. And this
The only
is,
issue, Dan, the city was kind of doing the pension board a favor in front of that because it was time sensitive. So we probably should make them bear the burden of not getting their money back, because this is probably going to be more of an issue between the pension board and the applicant and his attorney, rather than, having the city being, but,
Well, my move to table was just to find out more information.
right. And I'm tracking this, I'm tracking, I just don't know that even if we get any more information, that's not going to affect our relationship with the city as far as, owing them the money.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, I don't, reimbursing the city is not the issue, the issue is more with the doctor.
Yeah.
For the
And
individual.
ultimately, the
And,
applicant,
well, and the individual as well, it could be. Yeah.
because if they cancel, if they were open and they canceled the morning of the appointment, then that would be more on the individual versus the doctor's office.
And the next time out, if this is to be rescheduled, then I'd be looking for a $300 credit.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm with you on that. And that's why I was going with this before we paid it.
I'll withdraw a motion to, table. And make a motion to reimburse the city.
Second.
That's what you were looking for.
Okay, so there's a motion to reimburse the city the $300 difference. By Dan Kopak, there's a second, on the motion, Tom Roberson. Is there any further discussion regarding the refund of the $300 difference to the city? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries to pay the $300 difference back to the city. I would like to make a note that I do want to find out more about.
On this bill, you might want to go in and redact the date of birth.
I sure will, thank you for that.
So I do want to find out more information regarding it, such as particular reason, if we can know the reason for the cancellation and the date of the original. But that certainly plays into the other meeting as far as the circumstances.
I'll be happy to supply that information.
Thank you.
The refund was dated 3/25.
At the end of their billing cycle, probably. Are there any, there's no more further expenses on the agenda. Moving into trustee concerns, are there any concerns of the members?
Can we ask about the issue we were just talking about, our collateral with Patronus? Where do we stand on that?
I believe we have to have these meetings, he has to have those doctor's appointments before we even hear it. And if there's a cancellation and one hadn't been rescheduled, we might start looking at if there's a timeline on completion.
Now, if I believe this, the one thing that I didn't see on those expenses was a, invoice, there were two, required doctor visits, one with Dr. Benson, and then there was another, there was nothing, any kind of reimbursement or bill payment for the other one at all.
Through the rumor mill, I had heard that we could not find a physician at Andrews that would take the case.
Well, actually, I did designate a specific position. Was he through Andrews?
It was Dr. Roth originally.
Okay, well, he is specific.
No, he's passed away.
Do you think there's enough information in the packet that we've been provided to make the decision as far as the orthopedic portion of the claim?
And, no.
No,
You don't have-
no, no, I'm not a medical,
No.
I'm not a physician, I'm not an expert on
No,
that.
there's so many issues there, we have absolutely got to have that.
I don't remember if it was a specific or find a physician at the Andrews Institute, because at that time, we knew Dr. Roth had passed.
Is,
Well,
no
when I-
specified doctor.
In speaking to, when I speak with the attorney, that it just seems to me that he was aware of the reputation of the doctor that was like, I think it started with an H, I have to go back and look in my notes, but I thought there was a specific doctor identified and he had a very, good reputation in these type of, cases. So, but again, we haven't seen any kind of.
You were shaking your head a moment ago as if to say, yeah, I'm aware of that.
I remember what he was talking about, I was trying to think of the name.
Is there,
Does anyone know if,
Colby Goss is the one who has been trying to schedule the appointments with the physicians. And, there was an issue with the one selected doctor at Andrews Institute. I too cannot remember this physician's name. Last week Colby had found another physician over at Andrews Institute and was trying to get the medical records to that physician. I do not recall his name. But the problem is you still have physicians' offices that are closed to elective, procedures, and a lot of these physicians don't have their offices open. I too can get an email together when I provide you the information on the other physician and let you know the status of that.
is there an expiry date in our plan for having this complete? I know we would have to extend it, the amount of the COVID closedness, but is anybody aware of an expiry date? You can only go 2 years, in order to claim any kind of, disability based on completion of, termination
I'm
of
not aware of
employment.
one, but I think that would probably be worth running by the attorney. See if we can stay there.
that's where I'd go.
I'll check with the league and see if they have any information on that. Any further trustee concerns? Seeing none, moving on to the public forum.
There are, only 2 people watching our YouTube live stream at this time and no questions have been asked.
Okay, seeing no input from the public forum, I'll move into adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Second, Tom, second by Dan. All in favor of adjourning? And the next meeting is June 11th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. This meeting's adjourned. I don't have a gavel. Ed.
Ed? We're adjourned.
What's up?